Welcome to Dyspraxic Rosie Writes, a channel where we talk about dyspraxia, chronic illness, and the writing life. I had a brief discussion just in time for the holidays with my friend from the Irish dyspraxia community, Mary Kilbane, where we talked about our experiences with neurodivergence and the holidays. I hope you find it engaging and interesting, and it offers a source of comfort for you this time of year, no matter what you celebrate. I do apologize that the video quality isn't perfect. It was recorded through my Zoom, and to give a very brief behind the scenes view, shortly before I finally upgraded my equipment. But nonetheless, I'm certain that this conversation will prove to be rather engaging for you.
Hi, I'm Rosemary Richings. As some of you may know me, I have a YouTube channel called Dyspraxic Rosie Writes. I am joined by my friend Mary, who is part of a dyspraxic cardio fitness workout that I have been part of for quite some time. So Mary, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Mary Kilbane, and I'm a part of Cardio Dyspraxic Fitness, which I absolutely love, and I've met so many wonderful people. I hail all the way from the Republic of Ireland in a little village in the heart of the Midlands.
So, what do you consider to be your favorite holiday traditions?
Well, I had lots of holiday traditions as a child. My favorite was when my dad used to go and get the real Christmas tree and bring it home in the boot of the car or get it off somebody he knew, and then he'd bring it down to the garage and he'd saw the bottom and stick it in the old-fashioned stand and bring it up. And I really, really was at my mum for ages until she got up and got down the decorations. And another tradition of mine I had was, as a little one, between the early hours of 1:30 and 2:30, I'd have the whole house awoke shouting up and down, look at what I got, look at what I got, and opening up my brand new presents, especially my dolls, with excitement. And also another tradition before that, my dad would bring us to Mass and Cara as well. So, and I'd also lick the bowls clean after my mum finished the Christmas cakes. And I used to be a divil, of course. We used to go to Quinsworth and different shops and bring back big maxi cans and tins of Lilt and Fanta and assorted boxes of USA and afternoon tea, Micados, Kimberleys. And at the moment have an awful job trying to keep me away from it. And especially from the drums of red and white wine she was making from my aunts and uncles and all the visitors.
Yeah, I think that is the most exciting time in your life for Christmas overall. Like, I found my grandparents really added to the excitement, and we'd go with the whole Santa Claus tradition, and we'd go down and visit them and just do a whole nice meal. It was really nice, and there was a whole sense of excitement of watching cartoons that were on every year, and the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer show, and that was always the best bit.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Like, I remember all the people that mattered: my Uncle John, my Aunt Mary, my Nana, my Grandad Joe. I also remember even some of my dad's side of the family and some family friends from down the road in the village. The whole house would be like a nightclub on St. Stephen's Day, like with all the singing and drinking and the having a laugh. I loved all that. And we'd have an old gentleman from up the road some Christmas days, and he'd talk about his days eating goose for dinner. And I remember he even looked after a cat of ours. He'd give him chicken when he jumped up on his bed. So I really miss all that, and I feel an emptiness in the house every St. Stephen's Day now.
Yeah, I have found my Christmases have gotten way quieter as I got older. I go up to my husband's more rural hometown, and especially because we don't have a house anymore, as mom now lives in a quieter, smaller apartment. It's much more of a slower pace, but I think as I get older, I come to appreciate really that, like, the excitement and the nice parts, or whatever family you can be within, and whatever time you can spend is the best bits.
Absolutely. Like, For example, I've also lots of traditions around summer holidays where, for example, on our holidays to Kerry, we would stop off in a place called Patrick's Well in Limerick for chips before we'd head straight on to Kerry. And in Achill, we'd stop off on the way to Achill Island in a place called Daly's Pub that had a big pool table with red and yellow and an 8-ball that we'd shoot a bit of pool and have a bit of an oil charge before we'd head back to Achill, and that was in Mulranny. I remember a lot of the traditions around going to the beach or visiting my grandaunt or going around, let's say, the shops as well. And my grandfather was also a big part of it too, growing up, and the old playground. So yes, and also traditions at Easter time where my mum again had a job keeping me away from the Easter eggs, and I succeeded in breaking and eating an Easter egg belonged to my big brother, and I had to give some of mine to him as a bit of retribution.
Yeah. So a big part of why I wanted to do this video, however, is I realized too that the holidays can also be very overwhelming and tiring as well for the neurodivergent community. And I wanted to spread the message that you're not alone, and also talk over some of the ways we've found to deal with that pressure and what helps.
Well, for example, I'm lucky I'm not routine based as such. I'm a very flexible person because I'm on the cusp of the spectrum, the autistic spectrum. I don't have full on autism, and I have suspected dyspraxia, but it's not overwhelming. It's very lonely for me because I still do not have any friends in the village where I live to hang around with, and I still hope to have kids of my own someday and meet somebody. I feel like, even though there is life at the moment in the house with our brand new little kitten as well and our cats and everything, I feel like when I have a child of my own, it'll bring more life back, and I'll enjoy the spirit of Christmas again, as well as even more so holidays and other stuff. So you see, in my village, it's only the GAA football club and the church, and that's where people get their connections for work and marriage and everything. And if you're a savant and able to kick a football, then it's your dream. But if you have behavioural issues as well as obvious neurodivergency, forget about it. That's the way I was. I had behavioural challenges as a child and I couldn't kick a football, and I was very bad at team sports. And therefore, I found myself ostracised, and some of the meanest girls and boys from the school were in that football club, as well as the meanest parents on the panel. So that's where it's very isolating in the rural village.
Yeah, it's different for me because I do a lot of traveling around the holidays, but I really feel this sense of having to create a whole new structure. And the thing I had come to accept to really enjoy the holidays is that a lot of family members really, my parents are lovely, so I'm not including them in this, but really you have to come to terms with the fact that your way of doing things and your life choices aren't always what people consider their own normal or anything like that. And really come to realize that anything that comes across as criticism, anything that comes across as, well, why aren't you having a kid right now? Why aren't you going for this whatever job? Why aren't you driving right now?
I never got asked that. It was my brother that's always asked when you're having kids, and it made me feel even more left out because people fawned over my brother. My brother was the normal one. He is the accountant and the partner of a big firm.
Yeah, but I found with being married that created that, but I think it was always my brother took some level of pressure off of that from being the older sibling and having more of a traditional job. But I find around the holidays those conversations always come up, and I think it's just a matter of not taking them personally and taking stock of what I have done that I'm proud of and what is making me happy, and resting when all the family feels overwhelming,
I completely understand what you mean. And you see, I learned the hard way that I don't ask questions that are triggering anymore because you don't know what people are going through. That's why people shouldn't be asking about kids, but if they know how much you want a child, they should be encouraging to you more. Like, I
Yeah.
wish more people would. I know I have some people encouraging me, and I still hope to have kids. That's what I want. I know everyone is not me, but as I said, I wish more people would be more encouraging to me, and more uplifting. And also, I also wish people could understood sometimes about how lonely I can feel sometimes.
Yeah, it really changes as you get older. And yeah, I think it's really important to reach out to who really gets you. And I feel like our community doesn't have enough of that.
No, I feel there's not enough understanding in Ireland. Once you turn 18, that's it, the support stop. We're still a long way in Ireland from getting proper recognition because there's still many barriers for neurodivergent adults in society here as well as in abroad.
Yeah, I've got that from growing up in Canada, but also from living in Morocco. There's really not much of anything.
I'll tell you about two incidents. Last Halloween was one of the emptiest ones I've ever had because it was just me and my sister and brother. My mum fell and broke her arm there, and she was in hospital, and there was no trick-or-treaters, no life or anything. And I never felt so lonely there. And last St. Stephen's Day, I know I was meeting a friend, but it still felt very lonely and empty, the house. Unlike the Halcyon days when I had everyone laughing and chuckling and enjoying a good drink and music blaring and everything.
Yeah, I think that's the root of where traditions are really important. And when they start to divert away from having people around, it really changes things because you're aware of other people enjoying it. And so that's where it's more important to gravitate towards your own community where it exists, whether it be online, whether it be your family members, whether it be just a friend you reach out to through a phone call. And I think that's the core message I wanted to get at.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I could give you examples of where I felt really left out when I saw all my peers getting married and having kids or mention of them, or my brother going off at his mates and his wife as well. I just felt so left out, felt so left behind. All my life I felt punished because I wasn't normal. Like, it's, in a way, the most extreme form of ableism comes from within our families. You see, it's indirect.
Yeah, and sometimes it's what we have to realize is it comes from not knowing. It comes from just growing up with a frame of reference of a path that you go on. And,
definitely.
And once someone diverts away from it's unfamiliar and it's outside people's frame of reference, so all they know is to offer their unsolicited advice. And all we can do is live our lives, see where we can be happy, see where we can find a sense of purpose, see how we can get by.
Achieve our goals at our own pace. Achieve our goals at our own pace and don't let anyone ignorant annoy us whatsoever. Like, once we know what we want out of life, that's what's important.
So what is your advice for people within the neurodivergent community who are feeling that sense of isolation around the holidays? We'll just end on this point.
Well, for that sense of isolation, my advice would be if you know anyone that really does get you, like, for example, I know a mother of a friend of mine in Dublin who gets me a lot better. I sometimes ring her. Or if you have any organisations you're part of, like Dyspraxic Fitness, for instance, or Asperger's Anonymous, you could just reach out to one of them for a chat. Or if you know someone else in the village that kind of gets you a bit better or is encouraging to you, reach out to them and ask if they're available to meet up sometime for a coffee. Or even Toastmasters. I would recommend Toastmasters as well.
I'll link to that in the description for those who may be interested.
Yes, exactly. I'm the president of Langford Toastmasters Club.
Anything else before we wrap up?
If there's any other online clubs you could look at, Meet Up Ireland is a great one. I benefited from that. I'm a member of a few clubs and one of them does holidays and meets up a couple of times. It's based in Belfast. So meetup.ie or meetup.co.uk or meetup.canada, wherever you're from. It's an excellent choice for meeting people as well.
Exactly. That mutual interest thing is so important, whether they're neurodivergent too or they aren't. It's just having that shared interest thing that goes so far.
Absolutely. And Facebook, like, for example, I'm an avid whale and dolphin watcher, as well as I'm mad into test cards and stuff like that. So I'm part of groups of Facebook too. And I'd also advise them to be very careful not to go looking for someone out with desperation, because I did that in the past and ended up in some very bad situations. So take a deep breath when you want to go out to meet people as well. Be in a good place first and be ready. Don't act on the loneliness on the spur of the moment either.
Yeah, and I want to add that you're not alone. I'm going to link to some mental health lines in a couple of countries for those of you who may find this time of year particularly triggering. But no matter what you celebrate as part of your traditions, happy holidays and have a good one. And you'll hear more from me in the new year. Thanks so much, Mary.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Happy holidays, happy reading, happy writing, my friends. I will hear from you next time after the holidays are over. Like and subscribe.